Hi there, welcome back to my channel. I'm Capri Lily. Today I'm going to share with you my most requested recipe, undeniably everyone's favorite recipe, my butternut squash mac and cheese. Now we all know mac and cheese is a soul food staple at Thanksgiving dinner, holiday parties, family gatherings, you name it, mac and cheese is going to be there. And not just any mac and cheese, but creamy, flavorful, and oozing with just different types of cheese, mac and cheese. And I know it sounds atypical, but the secret to the creaminess of my mac and cheese is the butternut squash. The butternut squash does not have a strong taste, and honestly, you wouldn't know it's in the mac and cheese unless I told you, but it makes all the difference. It makes my sauce a bit creamier, more savory, and it just takes the mac and cheese to a whole nother level. So let's jump right in and I'll show you how to make this delicious, creamy, cheesy butternut squash mac and cheese. We're gonna start by preparing our noodles. I like to use organic brown rice penne pasta. It's gluten-free, but I promise you, you won't know the difference. It tastes just like regular pasta. And we're gonna add salt to our water. This helps with the boiling process and gives the pasta a bit more flavor. And we're going to also prepare our butternut squash. I like to use the pre-cut butternut squash just because it's a bit easier. You can use a whole squash if you prefer. But I simply put the cubes on the tray and then season with a bit of oil and then some salt and some pepper. Now I'm going to bake this in the oven at 375 for about 25 minutes. Back to the pasta. Now our water is boiling, and I'm sure you guys are very well versed in making pasta, but I just wanted to point out it's really important to stir your pasta. This is how we keep it from sticking to each other. So don't add oil or anything to your water, just stir it and you'll see that when you do this, the noodles come apart and they don't stick together. Now we're going to begin making our sauce. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. And you want to make sure the heat is on low because you don't want to burn the butter because then that taste will come up in your sauce. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of almond flour. I prefer gluten-free flour just because that's my preference, but honestly it turns out just the same if you use regular flour. Just remember 1 tablespoon of flour to 1 tablespoon of butter. And now we're going to continuously stir this. We want to make sure to get the clumps out, and we also want to continuously stir to prevent it from burning. This is the consistency that you'll be looking for after stirring for about a minute. Then I have 2 cups of heavy whipping cream here. I'm going to slowly pour it in while continuously stirring. If you pour it in too fast, you'll have lumps in the sauce. And I use my spatula to scrape the sides and make sure all parts are mixed together, and then keep pouring in the heavy whipping cream. This is what your sauce looks like after mixing in all the heavy whipping cream. And now we're going to add our seasonings. This is where we give the mac and cheese all the extra flavor that we want. This has become one of my favorite seasonings, herbes de Provence. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon, and then 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, some salt, and some pepper. Now I'm going to add 2 cloves of raw minced garlic. A lot of people like to use garlic powder, but I like to use raw garlic because I feel like it has a more potent flavor. Now I'm going to stir all the ingredients together. Now it's time to add our butternut squash. Here we have our perfectly roasted butternut squash cubes, and we're going to place them in our blender, and we're going to blend them for about a minute. Now we have a perfect butternut squash puree that we can add to the sauce. So we're going to just add that right in. And then we're going to take the whisk and make sure to stir it in well. We want to get all the clumps out. It's looking really good and the sauce is looking super creamy. This is exactly what you want. Now it's time to add in the best part, the cheese. I have here a shredded blend of Parmesan, Asiago, Fontina, and mild Provolone cheese. I'm going to mix in about 2 cups of this cheese and save about a half a cup for later. Now again, I'm going to stir continuously to blend the cheese into the sauce. Now I'm going to add 2 cups of sharp cheddar cheese. A variety of cheese is the secret to amazing mac and cheese. So now I'm just going to continue to stir this into our creamy cheese sauce. It's looking so perfect, nice and cheesy and creamy and delicious. It's absolutely ready for the noodles. So I have the noodles that were made in a glass bowl here, and I'm going to pour in the cheese sauce. I like to pour it in a separate bowl just so I can mix the noodles and the sauce in thoroughly. I like to use a spatula and a spoon to mix the sauce. I like using the spatula because I can scrape the sides and make sure no cheese is left behind. Now I'm going to take the mac and cheese and transfer it to a glass dish for baking. Here I have Gruyere cheese cubes that I'm going to place inside the mac and cheese. This is just going to add another level of cheesy goodness. Then I'm going to take any leftover shredded cheese and put it on top so I can have a nice golden crust. And this is what it should look like right before we put it into the oven. So I'm going to put it in the oven at 375 for 30 minutes. The first 20 minutes covered with foil and the last 10 minutes uncovered. And it comes out perfect. This is how it comes out fresh out of the oven. Delicious, gooey mac and cheese. And now we have our perfectly baked mac and cheese, super cheesy, super creamy, very flavorful, and incredibly delicious. So now we have this delicious butternut squash mac and cheese. I hope you guys like this recipe just as much as I do. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share. I post videos every week, so if you're new, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. And I hope to see you next time.